They say you should always try to see the beautiful in the everyday, but I'll bet you didn't realize just how many beautifully brilliant secrets are hidden in the items you use every day. From classified cookie symbols to the reason green gummy bears aren't what you think, here are some more amazing secrets hidden in everyday things. Bussin' patterns. Whether it's for work or school, millions of us catch the bus every day. And while you might prefer the view outside the window, there's a bunch of interesting secrets hidden right inside. You might have noticed that even modern buses are home to seats that look like something out of a 90s fever dream. While you're probably wondering who hurt the cursed designer who came up with these ghastly patterns, the real reason for them is actually surprisingly gross. The average public bus can see up to 2,500 passengers come and go in just one day. And while getting a seat can feel like striking gold, it feels a little less comfortable when you consider all the things it's played host to. Everything from greasy takeout bags to morsels of on-the-go burritos to sweaty tushes can end up leaving their mark on bus seats. But these ugly patterns prevent you from even thinking about that. The human eye is kinda easy to trick and can become quickly distracted by bright colors and outlandish patterns, something public transport authorities know all too well. The busy patterns trick commuters' eyes, making it harder to notice filth and stains, giving the appearance of a clean seat. Seriously, once you realize just how dirty these seats are, you'll think twice before racing to sit down. While the wheels This phenomenon is known as screen burn-in, and given that it physically changes the interior screen surface, it can even be seen when the screen is turned off. In 1983, programmers were so fed up with dealing with the dreaded burn-in and started brainstorming a solution. This solution came in the form of moving image files, aptly named screensavers, that would automatically jump into action whenever your screen was idle for too long. That's right, screensavers are more than just the pretty face most of us assume them to be. Screensavers became a staple for every computer, and there were thousands of designs created across the 1990s and early 2000s. Anyone else getting a super dose of nostalgia seeing all these old screensavers? Or am I just old? It's not just computers that utilize this nifty tech, and I can't be the only one who remembers the oh-so-satisfying bouncy DVD screensaver. That's right, hit that corner. Over time, cathode ray tubes were replaced with liquid crystal display, also known as LCD. The more modern LCD screens we're used to now usually contain a feature called pixel shifting that ever so subtly shifts the image on your screen just enough to prevent burn-in, which without pixel shifting can still occur to a lesser extent. So when you think back on the hours you spent agonizing over which screensaver to use, know that while you probably were wasting your time, you can rest easy knowing it was for something unexpectedly important. To a penny. Nowadays, it's becoming increasingly obvious that banknotes and coins are likely to be completely erased from everyday life eventually. But if you'll join me as I cling on to the past, I'll tell you some pretty awesome secrets that you've probably forgotten are hiding right in your pocket. In 1792, the U.S. government ordered American money to be made using gold, silver, and copper. Gold was used in the $2.50, $5, and $10 pieces. The dollar, half dollar, quarter dime, and half dime were composed of silver, and the cent and half cent were made of copper. These coins were supposed to only contain enough metal to be worth their face value, but at certain points in history this hasn't been the case. In 1965, the price of gold and silver rose to such a point that the coins they made up were worth more for their metal content as opposed to the money. In response to this, the United States Mint made the decision to alter the way they make coins, and that method has stuck to this day. Nowadays, most coins produced by the U.S. Mint consist of what can only be described as a little metal sandwich. In a modern quarter, for example, the outside layers are 3/4 copper and 1/4 nickel, while the filling is solid copper. This cash sandwich is called a clad coin. If you stop to take a look at the edge of a quarter, you might just think you can see a bit of rust, but what you're actually seeing is the copper filling peeking out from within. Kinda like an Oreo cookie for people with really strong teeth. Card sharp. Considering playing cards have been a magician's best friend since at least the 15th century, it's no surprise the cards themselves have developed a few tricks up their sleeves. Next time you're playing poker, stop to look at your cards in detail, and you may notice some hidden secrets. In a standard pack of cards, the card backs are a symmetrical mirror image pattern that's exactly the same whichever way you look at them. However, some magicians prefer to use one-way designs that look symmetrical at first, but on closer inspection, you'll see they have differences that can indicate which way up a card has been placed. On first glance, you'd think this card You might have seen the rumor online that the numbers on a toaster indicate the number of minutes the toaster will run for, and while this does sound like it makes sense, it's actually completely false. Well, mostly. According to big toaster manufacturers including Cuisinart, DeLonghi, and Breville, the dial functions as what's known as a Browning control knob. Most home toasters are what's called capacitor toasters, which work by sending an electrical current through a circuit to charge up a central device within, the capacitor. This charging process is triggered when you press down the toaster's lever, and the numbers on the dial refer to a resistance rate, which controls the time it takes for the capacitor to reach full capacity. While this is going on, the heating elements of the toaster get nice and hot, and the higher the dial is set, the longer they heat the toast for, until it pops up once the capacitor reaches capacity. So while the theory that the numbers equal minutes does make logical sense, it's actually rarely that precise. But it's a lot more fun sounding than rambling on and on about capacitors and resistance like an intolerable toast nerd, so you do you. Sponged out secrets. One of the most beloved and definitely most memed cartoons out there. Everyone loves that little guy who lives in a pineapple under the sea, SpongeBob SquarePants. But how well do you really know Bikini Bottom and its hidden secrets? It's clear that much of Bikini Bottom is populated with sunken relics from above water, and looking at the Krusty Krab, you might have thought it was just an old crate. But no, it is in fact a crab trap.
So, my eyes are correct!
While Nickelodeon have fervently denied the shocking online rumor that the Krabby Patty formula is actually made with crab, this little factoid is sure to make you wonder who you can really trust. Perhaps we should ask SpongeBob's parents, who are cookies? Nope, just dried up old sponges like something you'd find under the kitchen sink, which is pretty baffling considering they live underwater. Cartoon logic, it's a writer's dream. Hooked on shopping. Love it or hate it, grocery shopping is an essential part of life. Given how most people like to load up on groceries, it comes as no surprise that grocery store shopping carts and baskets are typically made of strong, durable metals like steel or aluminum. While the reason behind the material may be obvious, have you ever stopped to consider the structure and shape of the cart itself? Packing up at checkout is one of the worst parts of going grocery shopping, and it can be easy to accidentally squash your freshly bought groceries when trying to load up your bags. But it doesn't have to be this way. These extra bits sticking out the top, back, and sides of carts aren't design defects, and their real purpose is for shoppers' benefit. Super shoppers have realized that these extra bits are hooks that can be used to hang your soft content grocery bags instead of piling everything up inside the cart. So on your next supermarket sweep, you'll know that while the store may be ripping you off when it comes to price, you'll have a valuable hook to rest on. Color Con Candy. Haribo might be one of the most well-known candies on Earth, but get ready because you're about to have your childhood beliefs mercilessly scuppered. Because they've been keeping a big secret from you. Are you ready? Green gummy bears are not the flavor you think they are. You might not realize it, but we all subconsciously associate colors with particular flavors. Experts have found that in the Western world at least, black is most commonly associated with bitter, white with salty, red and pink with sweet taste like strawberry, and yellow and green with the sour taste of lemon and lime. For most of us, when we eat a green gummy bear, our brains will tell us that it tastes something like sour lime because that's the sort of flavor that our brains associate with the color green. But the reality is that these green gummy treats are actually